your eyes and ears to the student. Please, no side conversations. Please listen earnestly and dearly. Let's give it our attention just so we can really honor God through this moment, so we can just hear how God has changed his students' lives. So let's just give him our respect in that regard. Please, no phones, no texting. Let's just listen for the next however long. But without further ado, if I can have you guys give a huge round of applause to Rowen, who will share his testimony.
All right, Nathaniel is now officially retired. I am the new Nathaniel Serrano. Get out of here. Nathaniel's great. But I just wanted to speak to you all today because I remember just a couple of weeks ago, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was talking about when I gave a short little testimony at junior high, and then in the middle of it, a middle schooler thought it would be funny to laugh in the middle of a serious situation, so then I beat him up. So, yeah. Real story, Kyle was there. He saw how aggressive I was.
I turned away. I didn't look at him.
He was like, woo! I'm going to get this aside because I just wanted to talk about something that I feel like throughout my whole life I've just been trying to just learn about myself more. And let me just say this in a scenario. How many of you guys have friends that just don't trust in scenarios? You feel like they're hiding something behind your back. You don't have faith in them, okay? You guys raise your hands? Okay, quite a few of you, yeah. Teenager problems. But honestly, it's just something to kind of have to struggle with because you never know if somebody's telling a lie. And that's just our human nature. We just lie as human beings because of the sin that's built within us. And it just sucks. So I wanted to give a little testimony about how my faith in the Lord has really been changing my life. So I just wanted to start off at a young age. It all began when I was born. No, not that far. But it was when I was probably like 9 years old, younger. I was not a teenager yet. But I lived in a pretty average family. We lived in apartments. And there was a problem, and that was that I had to live with an abusive father. He used to just beat the crap out of me. He used to beat me senselessly. And it honestly did hurt, to be honest, because I didn't know what I did wrong. I tried doing what I could, but I think because of his mental problems, because he had quite mental problems, he just beat the crap out of me when he would get mad. And that means growing up, I commonly ask myself, what's wrong with me? Why am I like this? Why am I that? Why am I the way I am pretty much? Because it's just hard knowing that your dad used to beat me senselessly and he used to call me nicknames like ugly. So it was quite hard. And I remember it stayed like that for a while. I really didn't have too many friends. I used to be popular in elementary school, but as elementary school, everyone was popular, I think. I don't know, maybe it's different over here in California. But it was hard, especially when I moved, because I moved down to Arizona because my dad got a better job offer where he was promised more pay. So we moved down there and I had to say goodbye to all my friends. Some of them I never got to really say goodbye to, and that was the very first time I felt this feeling of having to say goodbye to someone without closure, because there was always that feeling within me. I never got to say goodbye to them, and it was really tough. I had trouble making friends at Arizona because it was a completely new area, and I didn't like it originally. But then fast forward a few months, probably I made my first few friends. I was getting into the whole entire Arizona thing. And then I graduated elementary school. Woo! I guess, I don't know. But that's when I went down to middle school. And that's when I heard about this thing that my mom, she's over there in the crowd. You can say hi to her.
Hi.
my mom, she pushed me to go to this Christian club, and I'm like, I don't want to go, because I want to just go home, play video games, do my own thing. But then she brought me to donuts, so I was like, heck yeah, donuts! I love myself a good donut. So yeah, I just went every week just for donuts. And I was like, pretty much, I heard about God, but I wasn't there for God. I was just there for the donuts. And it was like that for probably my whole entire 2 years of middle school, because I never felt the love of God, because I never really accepted him in my heart. I never really actually took him for what he actually was, so I didn't feel anything. Now, fast forward to 2020, and now we're going back to my abusive father. This was in 2020 when we figured out, because we all knew 2020, this was when COVID was a huge thing. Everyone had to stay inside. Everyone was locked. I'm sure Kyle was very sad. I'm sure Mitchell was very sad. I'm sure all of you guys were very sad. I'm sure Jess was sad. So it was just very hard. And I remember the news when I woke up and my dad had caught COVID, which was hard because he had this problem with his kidneys. And because of that, that made it very difficult for him to survive when he had COVID. So he had to quarantine in his own room, and my mom got like this recorder thing in which we could hear what's going on inside from outside. Let me tell you, it was super painful because I could just basically hear my dad just gasping for air. I could hear him just being in pain. It just hurt me. I know he was abusive to me a lot, but another part of me knows that he loves me. And that's why I still love him. And I just remember on October 26th, that's when everything went down. That's when my life changed completely. October 26th, around like 6 a.m., not 6 a.m., 6 p.m., I'm losing my mind. Around at 6 p.m., I just hear my mom screaming, and she's like, "Don't leave me, girl, don't leave me." And I go over there, and I just see my dad lying on the ground. Well, he wasn't on the ground, he was actually more slouched in the chair. He was drooling, and it was horrifying. I didn't know what to do, honestly. I wanted to do something, but I didn't know what to do, so I just went in my room, locked myself in there, and draw those pictures. And then it was painful that night, hearing the screams from my mom, just hearing everything that was going on, because I felt like I could do something, but I didn't. And after my father passed away, I just lived with that guilt for, I don't know how long, probably for 2-3 years. No, not 2 or 3 years. I just lived with it for a while. I couldn't stop blaming myself because I always believed I could have made a different outcome. And it was just always tough. And so now that meant I had to go through the rest of quarantine without my dad, grieving alone. It was hard. And I couldn't do anything about it because I couldn't go outside to hang out with friends. I couldn't really do anything because we were all locked up. And it sucked, honestly. But that's when we moved down here to Visalia to live closer with my family. They lived down in Reedley, like 40 minutes away. Not too close, but still pretty close. In which, honestly, I remember my mom, she heard music coming from outside, but this was when we were doing outside services for the main church, and she heard the music, the worship music. And while it was music, what I like to think it wasn't just music. It was a calling from God for her to go over there. Because let me tell you, when she went over there to the church, her whole entire life changed. Because she just felt the love of God. She felt the love of the community. And the fact that we really had no other choice. It was either be isolated for however long this lasted, or go be a part of a community with the risk of catching COVID. And considering that her 15-year-old boy, 14, 15, was depressed and didn't want to do anything, he used to stay up late, because I used to just stay up late, crying, and it was hard. So she decided to take the risk, and she came to the church. And that's when Nathaniel, there he is. That's when Nathaniel went up to my mom, and that's when he talked to her to invite me to church. My mom didn't tell me this until later on, but pretty much my mom, I'm sure she thought, what else was there? It would probably be good for my son to figure out the love of God and to be a part of a community with teenagers like him going through this situation. So which she made me walk over here. I was like, I don't want to go. I just want to stay. I want to sleep. But she didn't care. She ripped my blanket off, and I was off. And I remember, this is a tradition I still keep alive today. Despite living a block away, I was probably like 10 to 20 minutes late. So that's something I'm keeping alive. But I remember how shy I was. I didn't want to talk to anyone, and when Kyle was the games leader, I just thought he was annoying. No offense. Wow. What are you going to do? Cry about it? But honestly, I didn't like it because I had to sit at the curb. I remember I was sitting on I don't know what those things are called. What are those things called that are set on a parking spot for the car to not bump into something?
No. They're
Let's just call it the bumper. Yeah. I sat on the bumper, just probably more so position like this, just sitting there. And imagine if I just go right now. It would suck.
That would.
But then Nathaniel saw me and he was like, hey, I want to introduce you to a guy. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, you're the adult here, so I gotta listen to you. So then he introduced me to our long forgotten friend, Nathaniel Trigger. May he be rest in peace.
He's not dead.
He's not dead.
Yeah. But he still sleeps.
But I remember that was basically my first friend I made in a while. Would have thought that I would eventually grow scared of him. He's a scary guy. I mean, he can easily body slam any of you. Easily. Heck, I'm sure he's waiting up there. But nonetheless, I still didn't feel so sure about this church thing. But then that's when Nathaniel, he bribed me with my weakness. How dare you? Dare you? He pretty much bribed me because I don't know who was the snitch here, but he found out that I liked video games. So he was like, hey, why don't you come on down to small groups? We can play some GameCube, some video games, some Switch. And I was like, sure, is it down the block? Because I didn't know where Nathaniel lived. But now I do. So. So then he just offered to give me a ride. I'm like, sure, I have nothing better to do because I have online school. So that means I had my own thing going on. Wait, technically we all had online school. I had a different district, but that's useless. So when I went over there, I just felt the love of this community. This love of just no judgment. This love of just feeling free. This sense of feeling that I could be myself. This sense that I could just have fun. And I loved it. And I just remember how truly impactful that day was. And honestly, that day reminds me really how great of a community God really is, because He did create all of us as one after all. we're just a sense of community. We're all our own individual beings, but we're our own community that we get to be ourselves and just have fun with. And that's why I love the worship team, because we get to just have fun praising God just with your buddies, like James and Kyle, or me and Nathaniel, or really anyone. Just that sense of community is what made it great. But trust me, I'm not done yet. So I just kept on going. And then I remember, pretty sure it was next week. It was either the first week or next week. I thought, why not give my life to God? And I'm like, I have nothing else to lose. Because keep in mind, this was in a depressive state I had. This is a state where I thought multiple times killing myself. Every time I walk, I was like, if I just jump in front of this car right now, gone. And I remember one time, I did try taking pills. And I don't know what I was thinking at the time, but I do remember what I heard. I heard a voice telling me, don't do this, you have a family that loves you. You have a sense of community with you, and you're not alone, which the voice is right, which I know that voice was God. Even though I didn't know him too well, I know he was still with me, even though I didn't accept him yet. And I just spit out the pills and cried, and it was just tough. So back to when I did accept God in my heart, I thought I have nothing else to lose. I have nothing that I could potentially lose. I have, if anything, maybe my life would get better. So I accepted Jesus Christ into my heart as my Savior that day. And I remember just as soon as I accepted him, you know that feeling, like how many of you guys, like at least like, or girls too, I suppose, how many of you guys like lift things that are like over like 30 pounds, 50? Okay, we have a few things. I doubt you do. It's okay,
Roast Kyle, Dicker.
he's leaving us soon.
Just roast Kyle.
But it was just a sense of relief, finally putting down that 50 pounds. Think about how relieving it was. Like your muscles are just, finally, I'm done lifting that heavy thing. Or just like the time me and James were fighting in the cabin, how much of a relief you probably had me getting off me. Think about that sense of relief. That sense of relief of just having such a huge pile of weight just come off me like that. And I just find it absolutely, I'm just taking my glasses off, these glares again.
I'm still paying on those.
Spit on them if you want me too long. But pretty much, it was beautiful how free I felt, It was the same sense of freedom I had in that temporary moment when I went to small group. And there was Kyle, this was when Ashton was still here. This was with Jess. I still didn't love Jess either. Man, think about it. I barely liked any of my friends that I knew back then. Good thing that changed. But just that sense of freedom, as soon as I accepted Jesus into my heart, and I didn't feel any burden, I felt no shame, in which I was like, wow, this is amazing. I need to keep on doing this relationship. I need to keep on seeing what God wants me to do. In which, that's when I began taking Gateways classes, because they offer the Connect and Develop classes. And that's when I discovered more about myself. I remember Lance asked me the question, what are you in here in this class for? And then I asked, then I answered, here soul searching, trying to figure out what I'm going to do with my life. And then someone jokingly said, this is the next pastor to church right here, and I'm like, actually, that doesn't sound not too bad. Because just thinking about the fact that Jesus Christ was able to lift my burden, he was able to lift off my shame, and he was able to give me the tools to get over the guilt of just not being able to help my father. I wanted to make a difference in this world. I really do. And now that's why I try to follow God as much as I can. And sometimes I do mess up. We all make mistakes as human beings because it's what we're prone to do. But what's great about Jesus Christ and his Father is that they're always forgiving. No matter what problem you may have, or any of you may have. Think about like your deepest problem, or how you may be scared, or how Jesus may not take you back. But let me tell you, it's wonderful how forgiving he is. Because he's always there to be there for you. Or he's like that friend that you always wanted. The friend that's there to pat your back. The friend that's always there. The friend that's always with you no matter what you do. It's great, really, if I have to be honest. Because there is no other sense of love, no other sense of just companionship that any relationship, whether it be like boyfriend, girlfriend, or Kyle and me. Point is, no matter what relationship you have, it's not on the same level on how truly extraordinary God is. Because God is always there for you, no matter what you do. No matter what problems you may make, no matter what mistakes you make, he's always got your back. Now this is when I want to start actually getting into the idea of faith. Yes, I got this shirt specifically for this testimony. But this summer, let me just be honest, junior year, I sucked. Let me be honest, because I failed 3 of my classes, got a C and then a B. I barely was able to begin to make it in senior year. And I feel like that was what I needed to do. Not like it was a good thing, because there are moments that it's not a good thing for us, but it's one of those bad things that help us develop into who we're going to be in the future. So I took summer school at James School, Redwood, and let me just say it's a lot better than Mount Whitney. But every single day, the teacher would have us reflect upon our summer, or life even, on what did we learn about, what did we learn. And let me tell you, those 15 minutes, I've never thought so hard about my life. So in those 15 minutes, I was trying to think of everything. Think about my highs and lows throughout my life, because you gotta take the bad from the good. Let's be honest, you can't always just take the good, otherwise you're not gonna develop that way. So I look through everything and see how every single problem I've been through in my life has just made me stronger. If it weren't for my father passing away, I wouldn't be here right at this church with my amazing friends. If it weren't for me being abused as senselessly as a kid, I would not be as strong as I am to help my friends whenever they're going through a problem. If it weren't for any of those bad situations that I've been through in my life, I wouldn't be the strong man that I am today. Despite how much Nathaniel may call me a little boy. Did I do that? Yeah. He's snitching on me. It's on camera too, so you're done. You're done.
Me and you afterwards. I see you.
But despite how many times I've been called a little boy, really every single bad situation that I've been through in my life has made me stronger for who I am as a person. Every single heartbreak that I've been through has made me stronger for didn't know how we were gonna live, and I thought I would just end up killing myself, honestly. But that's when all these events happened that led me to this church, to let me get closer to the Lord. And I was able to see that God has a plan. Sometimes we may not agree with the plan because we have our own selfish desires. Like, for example, say a girl you like turns you down, you're super sad, oh, the world's miserable, you're gonna cry. Or say that you fail a class, oh, your life's over, you're never gonna get into that college. Or say you lost your best friend to a couple of different things, and you think that you're not gonna be able to make it. God does have a reason for everything happening to you. If God was able to turn my father's passing away into something that would lead to me wanting to have this big heart for wanting to change the world. Sorry, I'm trying to spit on you. Or if it weren't for that, I want to have this big heart of wanting to help people because I always want to help people. Like, whenever Nathaniel asks for help, I just say, sure, let me go ahead, because I live down the block. I'm always willing to help. Whenever we go down to Visalia rescue mission and we have the opportunity to go cook the breakfast, I take it because that's helping those homeless people that just were not as fortunate. So I guess overall what I'm trying to say throughout it all is that God does have a plan for you. No matter what tough situation you are going through, because each and every one of you is going through something tough. You may not think it, but you will go down something tough. And it's going to be hard. But that's why you got to have faith in the Lord. Because the Lord, as this caring Father, as this loving Father that's always going to be there to take your tears in, because He knows what you went deep down. Even if you don't know what to say to Him in the room, He knows what's inside your heart. Because He is the one that created each and every one of you. So He knows you better than anyone else. So that also means that He knows what He's doing with your life. And He knows what the kind of person you're going to be. So I just want you guys to stick with that. Because no matter what you go through, there's always going to be another way. And God's going to lead you on throughout that way. And I thank you guys for everything. You guys are awesome.